Wake up, buyer payer people. It's a beautiful day. Go grab yourself another cup of joe and say hello to Jim and Michelle Rhoads on the Buy Here Pay Here Morning Show. Take it away, you two.
Goodness gracious.
Hey,
happy Friday. So grateful to be here. It's funny. Jim, for the longest time, wanted to change our format, so we were looking across the table from each other, and for some reason I just kind of I wasn't fighting it, but I wasn't helping. Is that a good representation?
We'll stop there.
We'll stop there. And it's just been fun because now we sit across the table so we can,
That's more like a conversation than a presentation.
Yeah. It feels more like a conversation than a presentation. So it's pretty cool. We're enjoying it.
Yeah, for
immensely.
Sure. It's definitely been the atmosphere is more conducive, I think, to what I always wanted the podcast to be. So all good.
And I'm back, obviously, not in Idaho. Had a nice quick visit with my brother. And, while just for those of you out there, it's been interesting. This is like a season of Brett Buke is doing the Goggins Challenge. And, we've offered support and stories and things for that. And he posted something today about vets and depression and, committing suicide and that. And so I just kind of posted in there. It's like, that has hit my family quite closely, but I was also, when people are struggling with challenges in their family with, whatever it is, it's always a good thing to let people know. And so that you're not alone. So you're not feeling alone. And so I just, in that whole arena of vets and emotional and mental health and all of that, my older brother, the one I've been visiting, and I go and visit him frequently, is about 2 years into his ALS journey. And so I just go and spend as much time as I can and enjoy, just goofing off. And I brought my younger brother with us. So we talked about all the stupid stuff that we did as kids. It was great.
Yeah. So you guys sat together and watched the Olympics and just spent time together.
Yeah.
Good.
It was
Beautiful.
fun. Nice. It was good.
I have a couple of things. I wanted to first send a word of congratulations. I sent a text this morning to Troy Spring and to Tracy Myers. They had their mastermind event yesterday. And so looked like it was quite successful again. And so congratulations to them. And now a lot of folks are in attendance at the Carolinas and Myrtle Beach.
Yeah.
And so glad to see that that's happening.
I saw Taylor Bird doing something for Dealer Ari, and he was in the window of his hotel room and he's panning it out. And it's beach.
Yeah. I saw some photos.
It sounds wonderful. I missed the beach.
The Greg King family,
the Greg King family. I saw that, and it was like, we need to get together again. And
for sure. Definitely enjoy those people and look forward to hanging out with them some more. So I think as far as announcements, I don't think we have anything on the horizon. We may have some pre-recorded stuff for next week. I think we'll be in studio on Monday, and then maybe some pre-recorded
Wednesday,
stuff.
Friday. We're gonna do an annual camping trip to a place where there ain't no cell service.
It's off the grid.
It's completely off the grid. Do some fishing, do some hiking, do some nature watching, and just all around unplugging.
Michelle will do some cooking on the campfire.
I love cooking on the campfire. It's my favorite.
So,
yeah.
So I look forward to that. So we'll be away some, and so we'll do some pre-recorded stuff. Shouldn't be reruns. I think we'll have a chance to do some pre-recorded stuff. That'll be new content, but look for that next week.
Yeah.
And otherwise, just had a wrap up to the month of July. And so we're just starting to kind of shift our attention into pulling data together for July. And that's part of what today's topic is about, of course. But anything else in announcements?
Not that I can think of, but I'd have to say, as before we dive into this topic of, the data part, when Jim finished a meeting with the client that we're talking about, he was really excited, and he's like, our client was so excited too, because in less than 24 hours after the first of the month,
Mhm.
all of this was produced.
They had all their performance stuff I'm going to show you,
Mhm.
including their manager's
And
bonus is in there. Like there's,
everything.
yeah.
Yeah.
So,
And we deal with other clients that it's like there are some that they're 2 months out
mhm.
from getting this kind of information because for whatever reason, and we understand the reasons and are trying to, or we're focused on helping
Mhm.
resolve those things. But it is, the reason why it's so impactful that this was put together in like it's August 1st,
Mhm.
and I think I talked to you, it was like 3:00 in the
Mhm.
afternoon, and you're like, we went through everything, done.
Mhm.
Everything is done. How much strength and
Value.
control and value and power this brings to a dealer
Mhm.
in their dealership. Being able to do that, just like, boom,
Yeah.
I know exactly. So you can pivot faster
Mhm.
based on
Absolutely.
last month's
Fresh
data.
information.
Mhm,
So you will see the
mhm,
parts of the information that are caught up, like,
mhm,
and it's mostly going to be the data coming from the DMS because
mhm,
we're not working with accounting and that. So we'll get there and I'll show you what's there. But yeah, just a ton of really timely information.
mhm,
And so, yeah, from a management standpoint, I think as we go through this, you'll see kind of where the motivation comes from with
mhm,
me to be able to coordinate with the DMS people more and
mhm,
just make them aware. And I think this episode, we're going to show them today and what we're able to provide the dealer when we've got a DMS that we can
mhm,
get familiar with so this DMS is very good.
mhm.
It just, there's some stuff that we still have to produce ourselves. We have to put it in a spreadsheet and sweep it, filter it,
Yep.
and a lot of work there. And so it's unfortunate. At least all the data is there. We can
Mhm,
capture the stuff that is really high value.
mhm,
But this is why you're seeing me I recognize because I'm in it. Like we actually sat in the virtual meeting, the dealer and I. We do it the first session that we can behind the close of the month, and
mhm.
we've been doing it now. You'll see this. I think the data in this
It's a
sheet
few
I'm going to show goes
years.
back to January of 2022,
Yeah.
and then we've got some
Yeah.
stuff prior to that. So shall we
So
share the
yeah,
screen? Dive in?
absolutely. Let's do this.
Let me.
Um,
I'll add it to the stage, and then
okay.
you can do whatever you want to do with our images, so we can make sure and
Mhm.
see what's there. But this first one I wanted to show you, this is not necessarily related to the data we just closed, but I'm just going to take you for a tour first of all the data that's in this workbook. Okay. So this is one of the things with the DMS providers is we're doing all this over in Microsoft Excel, which is mostly because I'm familiar and I can help the dealer construct it. Right.
Mhm.
Ultimately, you'd like to be away from Microsoft Excel.
Well, that's on our roadmap.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm
Mhm.
just saying, so what you've got here on this screen, and I know viewers probably can't see that very well, but you've got a snapshot look of year over year going back to 2019.
Is there any way for you to enlarge that quite a bit
I
here?
can. Just doing it on the fly is something that is not as
Not
easy.
as easy. Okay.
Can you?
All
Does
righty.
that work?
A little bit better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's just year over year, and you can see that this dealer's been through some pivots and already you're looking just a snapshot look at their volume, and you can see they had some stuff happen in their business back in 21 22 that caused some dips, but
Which it's interesting. The things that happened, it's just like these are the things that happen to dealers.
yeah,
Kind of thing,
yeah,
and it's
events,
just events and stuff like that.
and
So it's like,
pivots,
and
yeah,
sometimes you just have to like, and
right,
then,
of
move
course,
forward.
yeah.
So,
And I think it's just one of those things where we've got year over year data, so I think it's important for us to be able to show that and just kind of give a feel. Now we move into the actual historical results and I think this is the part. If I showed you only one thing, it would be this part right here at the top, because this is the part. This is essentially our portfolio summary report that we've asked the DMS providers to produce under the White Hat Way label. Why? Because when you look at so many of the pieces that we're about to look at throughout this whole workbook are tied back to this information. So it's that thing about garbage in, garbage out.
that whole thing that we've been working with the DMSs. This is something that we are asking them to make available to everyone. Fee or no, I know we're hoping that they don't charge for it, but there some of them may, but because it's not just about our clients receiving value from this. It's like every dealer should have this kind of information in front of them. And so, it's like we start there. And then if dealers need help, that's where we can step in and help with, understanding how to move the needle or, those kind of things.
Yeah.
So.
And of course, it's a couple things to quickly note. This dealer has a related finance company, but we only look at their situation globally. Like the finance company is a tax strategy. It's something they do,
but
obviously,
it's,
and for other benefits. But from an operational standpoint, we roll it all together and we look at their thing globally. And so that's why, these numbers, it took us a while. It took us many months to work through the reports and figure out why are we out of balance on our principal.
Because you were out of balance for a while.
Yeah, for a stretch,
I remember when that, I think we talked about that in a previous episode, that when it was finally determined the pieces and where those pieces needed to be placed, and it balanced out, that it was a huge victory dance. It's like, yes,
we've had a few victory dances with this client, but that was one of them. And that's just
so, and just that what you've been able to do with this, it's in figuring out how the DMS is looking at the data. So it's like anyone that's coming from this DMS can be put through that filter, and most of the work has been done.
Well, I would just say that this is one of the reasons that we want to cooperate with the DMS people is like, this is one of the more sophisticated DMS systems available for buy here, pay here. It didn't have all of the columns of data that we would need in order to accurately calculate what we're calculating here. We had to go add columns to reports and create our own custom reports inside the system, which thankfully the system accommodates that, and we can produce our own stuff. We can create our own custom stuff, and there's tons of data. Like they make the data fields available. It's
and some DMSs are more customizable than others. Like, not like the dealer can customize it, not that it has to go to dev
and then
and
this question
customize
of
it.
how many of the dealers really know how to customize
that for especially new dealers.
This dealer's been in business for years, and they've been on this system since 2017 or something. And I had to teach them how to get in there and get all the stuff. So it's like, some of it we had to work through together, figure it out together. But I can tell you the rewarding parts of this are now they know their data is clean. They know they're working from accurate information. When we finish the books like this, we hand it over to their bookkeeper, who now, by the way, is also in balance in their receivables and QuickBooks, because they can tie back to this and make sure they have the same reports that they're working from. And so there's a ton of related benefit from all the work that we're talking about, and the reason that we dig in. But this screen right here at the top, I just want to show, dating back to 2023, I think when we figured out what the issue was and was throwing us out of balance, I went back and at least updated the numbers through 2023. And you can see here's a month where, $1.6 million portfolio for this dealer back in January of 2023. And it was off by $1,100, long 1 month, short, the prior month or whatever. And then here's another one, $209 and $209. They wash
but it's
out.
It's been in complete balance.
It's been in complete balance
Since May. Since May.
Since May.
Since May, which then that was when I was like victory dance that y'all both were experiencing. Yeah.
So the dealer was thrilled to have that figured out. It's just, all of us have reasonable expectation. There's a limit to how much time you can justify doing it. But in this case, it was an exercise that we felt like we should be able to figure this out. And we have. And so now.
So this is what, just like this first image is what running that kind of report and then comparing it month over month over month over month. And, because like doing the first one is great.
Yeah.
But when you start stringing together 3, 6, 18, 40, whatever months, it really helps you understand how your portfolio, how your business is moving.
Absolutely.
And
well, you're going to see, maybe I should take you there first. So let me just kind of take you through a tour of all the pieces that are in here, and then we can go into some detail. So this whole master spreadsheet right here that we're looking at, this page has a ton of data in it, which drives a lot of the rest of what's in the workbook. Here's a snapshot look at sales and inventory. So you've got a kind of a sales breakdown month over month there. Then you get into some very specific graphing. This one we did to kind of break down on a per deal basis, kind of how our cost is, our cost of money, our average net charge off, et cetera. So this is something that's kind of a separate study, if you will. Here's a chart of notes receivable. You can see this dealer was December 2022 was at around 1.5. Now they're at 3.6, and it's pretty easy to see on the screen that the month of July was the first month that their receivables were down.
Since we started tracking this, when you guys started.
They're in growth mode.
Yeah.
They've got a line of credit. They're figuring some stuff out business wise, and obviously we're working with them to do exactly that. But the point is, you can easily see it visually. You can see this is what, and the dealer was able to see, oh, this is the first time we've seen a dip. And you can also see at a quick glance that in the month of July, they collected less principal and interest per. So this is calculated based on the number of active accounts.
So that's why there's a dip.
What do you mean?
Is that why there was a dip?
They collected less.
Okay, because they collected less.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So they have it's measured by would they know that? They certainly probably most dealers wouldn't know that on the first of the month, but it's easy to see visually that they typically collect 600 plus, and you can see the 2 months where they fell short of 600. It's pretty obvious there visually. And I'll take you back and show you eventually the bonus for the manager, because they have this is typical of a lot of the structures that we work with. They have what I call a location manager. And this dealer has one location. So they've got kind of the person that oversees sales and collections. And so we built a pay plan for that many months ago. And now they've got the collector's bonus, and it's a nice one. It's working well, and I think the dealer would say so. And this month's a good example. But here's collections performance. So you can see the orange bar is principal and interest plus repo ACV. I think I urge the dealer to look at the blue line.
So explain this to me, because the trend is downward, and so explain to me, because usually the first thing it's like, oh, you want to go up, and so this is down. So what is it?
Can we come back to that? Because I think that's not the relevant parts here. This dealer has gone through some shifts, and part of their growing their portfolio, and some of we can come back and talk about that. I just think we'll be here for hours if we go through each piece. But so here's the roll forward. This is a roll forward that we do. We've been doing this for all of our clients, but this gets updated at the close of every month. So that balance would be their actual principal balance as of July 31. So 2 days ago, this number is their number. This number is based on their 12-month rolling average through July 31, 2024. So now what it's doing is it's saying, based on our last 12 months of history, our current portfolio, if we quit putting contracts in that particular portfolio,
this is how it will pay out.
And I'm giving them 12 months, 24 months, and 36 months. And then there's some other analysis down here at the bottom. But now you've got collateral recovery rate. So this is took me a little while to get my formula in line with the others, but now you can see that my formula
is in line with because I remember there wasn't that part of the conversation with Jimmy Rambo and others about what it is. Okay, awesome.
And I've kind of moved away from collateral recovery rate and some what I'm doing. I have similar calculations that kind of use the same numbers, but the reverse of this would be what's called loss to liquidation ratios. But this is this is just graphically, it's showing them a number that their lender is going to be monitoring, right? And so it's like they want to know, right, what's going on here. Here's collected money in dollars. So you can see the orange line is principal and interest collected. This is based on a 3-month rolling average. Okay. So that just allows you to have better trending and kind of see the curve a little more slowly instead of seeing it go up and down with, deviation like we saw in some of the prior slides. And then the one at the bottom is just principal.
That's just solely principal, no interest.
Right. Okay. So it's just data. It's like, but it's fresh data. Now here's interest collected per month. You can see the trend. I mean, this is a trend line that's added, and you can see clearly how the portfolio is growing and the resulting interest is being generated off of the portfolio. And so when we started working with them, what's been almost 2 years now, a year and a half, probably or more. And so now this is, you can see that the portfolio is growing. The volume we got spoiled to see 72 grand of interest income a few months ago, but now that's the new target. Right now we're kind of we're gonna anything short of that is a disappointment. So we're kind of working to have new targets. Here's P&I collected, so same thing. And then now we get into cash flow, which, look, this is something that we've got and this is the other thing that I'm working with the entire industry on. I'm happy to, and I've got a meeting later this morning that is somebody that, can also contribute to this situation. But let me kind of take you inside as a former dealer. I know that cash management is so important. Forecasting my cash, knowing what my bank accounts are going to look like, next week and next month, so that I can make better judgments about what can I justify buying, how many cars can I buy this week or tonight when I'm headed to the auction, how quickly am I going to recover cash this week? So cash management is just such a huge thing here.
Yeah.
So what this starts to do is you can see that top section there. Let me try to expand that a little bit. So, whoops. Maybe make it a little more visible on the screen. But so this top section is really just operational cash flow. And this is easy for us. Like we've got all the data pulled together from the DMS. We know what the incoming cash is. Now, if we just had the overhead numbers, and this is what's delayed. I mean, look at this. We've got July from 2 days ago, and we don't have, because we're waiting on their CPA, and they're working on it. But it's like, we've only gotten it 2 months. That was another celebration that we had a few months ago. It was like the CPA was able to produce the direct cash flow statement that we've been requesting for a long time. They figured it out, and we loaded it in April. But now we've closed June and July, and we don't have the information for either of those months.
So that's an accounting. That's like, hey.
And they said, they told us at the time, it's going to be, delay of a few weeks. It's going to take, we got to get the other stuff done. The bookkeepers got to do their part, and then they turned over to CPA. And of course, CPA's got other clients. But this is an example of where we just see delays. Like, because I want to be able to give the dealer, and right now we can look at a broader average. There's a ton of information in here, but basically what we're helping the dealer do is say, okay, we need X number of accounts based on what we're collecting now, based on our average accounts in the portfolio. We can look at some stuff and say, okay, last month we were positive on cash, operationally speaking. We were positive on cash or we were negative on cash, and here's how far away we are. So same thing, measuring number of accounts. How many accounts do we need to have actively paying at the average payment that we're running right now in our portfolio? How many accounts away are we?
So where does it show that?
It's in sections down here. So versus number of active accounts, and there's some different pieces on this, but accounts needed to cover overhead. So this would kind of like be cash and deal. Well, the dealer
had a dip.
Is deficient by about 22 accounts just to cover the overhead, the cost of replacing cars. Okay. Obviously, their last 2 months of sales have been down. A lot of dealers are down in June and July. So how much cash they need to replace the cars they sold is less. But when we look at it kind of on a rolling average basis and say this is our typical, then now we're able to give dealers the information that says your overhead is here. We need a certain amount of cash flow to cover overhead first. And they covered that. Like most dealers cover that fairly quickly. But then now it's a question of volume. Now, how much cash do we need coming in monthly to replace and condition the cars that we're selling and replacing? Right. And so
you're going to see when there's a dip in volume, you're going to see something like this happen, but that over time, you're going to see, okay, so there's usually a dip. June, July, it catches up in here, and you get, and it's kind of like it'll be interesting to see as this strings, because it's only really 2 months because you don't have all of the pieces in there right now. But as you string that together and you can start, I love trends. That's something that I've been hired to help figure out, or trends, but not with Excel spreadsheets. So this is, to me, it's fun. It really speaks my language. It's like, let's look at the trends. And so what can we expect? And if this is a dip during this period of time, are there things that we can do to reverse that, to change that? And so, recognizing the condition of that time, there's so much meat on the bone for this. Yes. You can't fix what you don't measure.
Right.
Yeah.
And so having the information is job one.
Yep.
Presenting the information in a way that is visual. They call it data visualization in the tech space, but it's like and I've always been like that. I've always worked from graphs and stuff because I just need to see it. Numbers on a row of piece of paper. It's hard for me to ever get there or make good sense of it. Whereas you can see, and dealers typically value these graphs and things that we put in there. But I think the other piece of what's happening here is that, just think about, on any given month, that number can be up and down. But one of the things, here's a dealer running on a line of credit. And so what they want to be able to say, and I've said this to dealers in our V8 meetings and this and that, and you can see them like, oh yeah, that would be so like, you want to know, okay, when's the day that I conceivably would generate enough cash that I could start paying down my line of credit, quit drawing on it, start
See,
to
and
reduce my costs.
and
Where would you learn
so
that?
what I yes.
Where's the report in my
And
DMS?
currently that's not dealers want that information, but that's not something people are talking about about how do you get out of a line of credit and have without selling off all your stuff. How do you pay it off?
Or maybe you're a dealer who doesn't have a line of credit and you want to
Mm-hmm.
know, okay, when can I start taking a little money out of my business without stunting the growth?
Oh yeah,
So
yeah,
that's
another.
got to come from positive cash. Well,
Mm-hmm.
when will I get to positive cash? Like I'm in there just slugging it out every day, buying
Uh-huh.
cars and working out repo
It's because
details.
doesn't it just so much help to have a light at the end of the tunnel? It's like when you have something tangible, because I know with some of our newer dealers that's something you take them through. It's like, what's your overhead? Well, you need to put X amount of contracts on the books to cover this.
Right.
And so it's a lot easier for a dealer to kind of wrap their head around that. That's pretty cool.
But yeah,
pretty
the cash flow piece is so important just because it lets dealers know, well, here's where I'm at and here's the fruits of it. It's like challenging. And listen, I'm not saying that dealers don't need to learn to read their financials too. They do. But reading the financials doesn't address what we're addressing here, in that what I'm asking for help with is producing direct cash flows. And I've got a meeting with another client today where we'll be doing the same thing. We'll be asking their team to say, this is what we need to produce. Here's why it's important. And I'm going to ask the dealer to ratify that strategy. And we're going to move forward with that. And we're going to start.
And that is the expectation that this is done, collected, balanced.
Is it hard? Yeah, it'll get easier as we get in the rhythm of doing it every week. Is it important? Yep. When you're not there, you need to make sure somebody else is in that chair to make sure that gets done, because it's going to be, once we fall off of that wheel, it's going to be hard to get back on. So we're just not going to fall off. We're going to make sure we get in the rhythm, and we're going to produce that information every week to start with them, to develop discipline and make sure we know what's good. But it's about putting this information in front of dealers. We've got a whole separate report for this particular client that we do a weekly, and we've now pushed that work over to the bookkeeping team, and they do the reports, and we're able to validate and make sure that they're doing it correctly, and they're fine. They're doing it correctly now. But so we use both. We use the monthly results combined with the weekly performance on the portfolio. And that's how I want to take you back and show you the pay plan side of this, because we've got the pay plan information now spits out as soon as this is done. And then one other quick thing I got to put a mention in here for at the bottom of this. You haven't seen this, Michelle, but here's their detail on web leads. Here's the V8 data submission. So now that all that stuff is built from a management report standpoint, we just pull this down and it's all populated. Like
it's your data submission done.
He was my first V8 dealer to be done. Well, obviously we're working with him, but it's like, it's done. It's like all the information is right there. And so we turned it in, and he doesn't have any extra work to show up for the V8 meeting. Like, his is all generated.
He just comes there for the conversation around the data and the connection with the dealers,
and learn something from
and
often share something. But adjusted gross profit is really the front. It kind of, some people would call it like front end profit, but let's just go through it. It's profit from the sales that were generated in the month, minus any profit or loss from cash sales, profit or loss from wholesale, plus interest income, minus gross charge-offs, add back the repo recovery value. And then this is any other money they have in their process. They collect some other money after repos. And so that goes on that line. And this is your adjusted gross profit then. And so this is everything before operating expenses, basically, and everything so think about, if I'm the location manager, what I want to do, I want to sell more buy here, pay here cars, right? This credits me for creating sales. It credits me for growing the portfolio. My interest income grows, and so does my bonus. It makes an adjustment for repos. When repos are up, then my bonus would be down. And if I recover more of the repos, then that helps, to get more value, get them in a timely fashion. But now that gives us an adjusted gross profit, which you can see there, that adjusted gross profit in the month of July was way down. Volume was down. They had, I think in this month, they had like 7 sales. And they've also had some people out sick and away on vacation, this and that. So they've been kind of disjointed a little bit. But you can see that the bonus, the adjusted gross profit, April, 183, 125 in May, 108 in June, and now 66 in July. Well, guess what? That hurt the bonus a lot. The bonus has been, this is their actual bonus line down here. It gets factored by that weekly collection efficiency, up or down. So you can see we do 115% of adjusted gross profit.
And this is for the collection manager, or the site manager, location manager. Yeah.
So, but you can see their bonus had been 9 something, 7 something, 600, and this month 330. So what it does for me is it says, well, that makes sense. I mean, the bonus should be, the performance was a fraction of what it has been. And so it makes me feel good that we've created a pay plan that does sort of reflect that. And it does factor in this collection efficiency done. So we've got buckets there. We've got different tiers where they can, if they do well on the collection efficiency thing, then that
bumps it.
Yeah. So it's two numbers, but obviously we have to pull together quite a few things to arrive at that adjusted gross profit. But again, I think this is why when you see this, so many of the numbers that we're talking about here, they're driven off of this information right here. We're basically reconciling principal. I didn't say it, but it says opening principal, calculated closing principal, actual closing principal. We start there and we make sure that we,
and it's like $1 off this month.
That's rounding.
But it's like,
it's just rounding. Yeah. So it's like rounded numbers. And so we're, you can see.
Yeah. But I mean, we've seen dealers, cause that's those data points are things that we talk about in V8. And we've seen dealers that like their 1%, 2% is in
6 figures.
6 figures.
We had one dealer last month that sent in their numbers the numbers were off and the principal was off by almost $350,000. So it's like, so it just makes you question the software first, and also makes you question, does the dealer know their software? Right? Does their team know their software?
But it's beyond that, though, don't you think? Where does the dealer understand the numbers and it's not just the software, but understand what the numbers mean, and where to find them, and
obviously with our proposal that we sent to all the DMS providers, right? And we copied our founding sponsors, and we said, we'd like for you to
had a great meeting with Mike Downey this week.
They're moving
too.
On that, and we've got some others that are moving on it. You didn't know, maybe I got a message.
Mike Downey, AMS.
Yeah. And got a message that there's some conversation with some of the other DMS providers. So I think one of the things I would say, just any of the DMS providers, any dealer that's listening, any manager that's listening, why do I think this number is important? Why do I want to lock this down? Well, $3.6 million, I can promise you, in this dealer's operation is the largest asset in their business. And the numbers that we drive, once we know their principal collected as a percentage of where they started, and their charge-off principal as a percentage of where they started, these are the numbers that drive those collateral recovery rates, that are the numbers that our bank's looking at. These are the numbers that we ought to be looking at if we want to know if our portfolio performance is up or down. If we look at this on a monthly basis, how did our collections team do last month? This is where it starts. And so it's like, I think we just ought to dig in and make sure, just identify the principal. This is obviously working with simple interest, but my approach would be exactly the same if this was lease here, pay here. Same thing. Know what your principal balance is in the portfolio. We're managing portfolios at the end of the day. How much is in that portfolio? What happened to the $350,000? Did we want to go figure out where that money went? Shouldn't we know what kind of money that it moved somewhere, or it's not represented in our report? Let's go figure it out. So it's like, this is where we dug in with this dealer, and this is why it's now clean. But the reason we dig in is because it's important information. It drives so many of the important KPIs that we need to watch, and important indicators that lenders are going to be looking at in terms of portfolio performance, that a dealer and a collection team ought to be looking at to see, are we really collecting better since we added a third collector? Like, all this kind of stuff. It's like, it's like, this is stuff we need to know. It starts with good information.
Well, and we hear all the time when we because we watch social media, and the questions that are coming in. Buyers Payer Success is probably one of the bigger Facebook pages. Is it a page or a group? Thank you. So many different things in Facebook, but where these questions are kind of being posed and or presented, and it's it's interesting, and I really greatly appreciate that we've seen dealers that have come back, and it's like a feeling is one thing. It's like, my gut tells me this, or this is something that I believe is a driving factor for success here or non-success there. And it can be. We've seen things such as what radio station is in their trading car.
Mhm.
And it's like that is not something that you can quantify as a factor in success or non-success. And so it's like that whole thing is you measuring instead of just taking it on your gut or your feeling. And I remember Jack Carter came, what was it, about a year ago. And those of you who don't know Jack is out of Georgia, just finished up being the chairman, not the chairman of the board, but the president of the board of Georgia. Really well-known dealer. And he was named Quality Dealer of the Year.
Georgia.
I mean, just really overall, great guy, has a great growing business. And he started tracking certain numbers and went, whoa, what I thought was true is not true.
Mm-hmm.
Because I started measuring what I thought was true, and it wasn't true. And so, we sometimes, we may think we've got great information, but unless you are quantifying that information, it's just a hunch.
Yeah.
And you can't really get to the root of challenges or problems or solve things if you're trying to do it based on a hunch. But if you've got good quantifiable information about these are the drivers, this is where you're at, that's when you can start to make real change in your business.
This is where I always quote Shakira, where she says, numbers don't lie.
Shakira. Sorry.
she totally squirreled on that. Shakira says numbers don't lie, I think. Is that what she said? Or something like that.
You're
the
talking.
Song is Hips Don't Lie.
The hips don't lie. Okay. So, well, and I was about ready to just start dancing because I don't know if squirrel.
Yeah. I definitely sent you on a squirrel.
You sent me on a squirrel.
So no, it's just the numbers. We got to have the numbers, and we need clean numbers, and dealers deserve clean numbers.
And just so you know, I mean, what we showed you today is it's being able to deliver that to more dealers. Is on our roadmap. It's like, because it is such important information, and we've been working really hard on creating an understanding so that we can make sure apples, oranges, everything's balancing out, getting accounting to do the same thing, because there are more layers that we're adding to this so that it's just, by the time we're done, this is going to be such a beautiful global look into someone's business from, it's very global. It's not just accounting. It's not just portfolio performance. It's just like a global look at how their business is performing in total.
And I we're going to continue to urge the DMS providers to make this available to, this portfolio summary. It's step one. Once they get that, we got other things we can offer or suggest and explain why. But I think it's like, some of the initial reaction from some folks has been, well, you got to, sign up and pay for some programming and blah, blah, blah. And I thought, no, you don't quite understand. I'm saying that every buy here, pay here dealer should have this information. They should be able to walk in
for that initial support. Yes.
This we'll start with this, like this portfolio summary report. This is like, let's make this available to dealers, all of them. Like, you want to separate yourself as a DMS provider. This is where, we can start to say, now you've got a software that has some integrity for your buy here, pay here portfolio. And they're out there managing them. Dealers, buy these budget softwares, and they, can you stock in a car? Can you price it and contract it and collect a car payment? Yeah. But there's a lot more to do in a buy here, pay here business that we need to have. And so I'm just saying, I think the DMS providers that are going to start to separate themselves and earn customers who are going to stick around.
Because having this information, actually, it improves the footing for a dealer with capital and all of the things. It improves your footing and like a level of feeling secure in what's happening in your business and being able to not add a little bit of first aid to something that's bleeding profusely, but it's like you're catching it when it's just a trickle. And
yeah. So anyway, I just think it's like it was exciting to me to have this dealer have their numbers, and obviously, this is not very scalable. These dealers can't hire me to sit with them for an hour or two every month. I mean, it's not scalable. I can only help how many dealers a month.
But that's what we're working towards, is being able to scale this.
Well, it's part of what you do with the podcast, to start educating people and making sure we kind of are all having the same conversation, because this helps us to know that this is what's missing. Now, there's still the whole bookkeeping, QuickBooks, accounting side, and getting to more real-time information on that side, but we're working first on the DMS side. Let's help dealers capture and have a nice clean report on the incoming data. And so this is where we're going to stay focused, and anybody else that can help solve the others, we're happy to meet with them and
absolutely.
And work on that. But we just got to get more information in front of dealers, and we're working on that obviously through V8.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Great conversation.
Love it.
I'm like, these kind of conversations make me excited for the future.
Yeah.
And you feel it's like we're on the right track.
Yeah.
And that dealers are really going to benefit from the things that you've been working so hard on. So, all right, everybody, it is Friday.
Yeah.
I hope that you all have something fun that's planned for the weekend. It's beautiful. It's collecting. Well, that is fun too, but something fun. Enjoy your weekend. Thank you so much for making us a part of your Friday, and we will be back on Monday. I don't think that we have for sure settled on the topic, but you'll see us on Monday at 9 a.m.
It'll probably be about buy here, pay here.
It'll probably be about buy here, pay here. All right, everybody, have a great day. Thanks again for joining us.